The Chicago Bears released their injury report, and Teven Jenkins is on the injury report, causing some concern for the talented offensive lineman. We're going to talk about why and how that could affect Teven Jenkins leading into this bye week, as that was a marker that Ryan Poles had mentioned for an extension for Teven Jenkins. We're also going to look at the role players on that offensive line. The depth piece is really stepping up big time over the last couple of weeks. And has Braxton Jones been better than what we realized? All that plus the mailbag right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host, Ter Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today. So the Chicago Bears released their injury report yesterday, and Teven Jenkins was actually listed as he did not participate in practice yesterday. Now, we've seen this before. We've talked to you guys about it before. You know, Friday is kind of the day where it really can be more concerning in regards to it. But when Teven Jenkins leaving the last two games early because of injury, on top of just the fact that his performance, while it's been improving when he's on the field, hasn't necessarily been up to the standards that he set either this season, it's bringing about a lot of questions when it comes down to Teven Jenkins. And, you know, there's definitely been guys who've been stepping in, and we'll talk about those guys up next. But keep in mind, Teven Jenkins, out his own mouth, basically said that the Bears informed him that they will not visit extension talks until after the bye week. And when you look at Teven Jenkins' performance from the start of the season till now, between injuries and things on the football field, again, I'm not blaming him in totality. The offensive line was out of sync for a while. They're starting to improve, things like that. But so far this season, listen, Teven Jenkins has struggled to remain on the field. His performance hasn't necessarily been at the level that we've expected in the last couple of seasons, that we've come to expect in the last couple of seasons when he is even on the field. And that just brings about that. You know, I said it at the start of the season. Before the season started, I said we could very well be seeing the last of Teven Jenkins, the last season of Teven Jenkins in the Chicago Bears uniform. And, of course, it comes down to what him and his agent are wanting versus what the Chicago Bears offer. But even the fact that Ryan Poles and the Bears front office informed him that they won't even visit extension talks until after the bye week already show that, listen, they're looking for something, right? Now, we could think that it could be help. We could think that it could be performance. We could think that it could be a lot of things. But ultimately, with the Bears going into this offseason, needing to address the offensive line heavily, yes, you would want as many of those questions eliminated before you go into the offseason. But, you know, the Bears very well could not want to give or not offer Teven Jenkins a lot of money on an extension because of his performance and his inability to stay healthy. You need somebody who's going to be able and ready to step in at any point just because of Teven Jenkins' injury history. And so I know this is a long and getting kind of deep in regards to, you know, an injury report that came out and things like that, but you just got to watch it, man. You have to watch it. And ultimately, you know, let's hope that Teven Jenkins can eliminate that as things go forward. But you just got to be honest with it. Teven Jenkins right now, if the season ended right now, I don't think that Teven Jenkins would be getting a contract extension from the Chicago Bears. I just don't. And, you know, maybe I'm wrong on that. You know, limited Wednesday, to go from that to not playing on Thursday. We'll see what happens today with practice, because I think that's going to tell a lot whether he's a limited participant or a full participant. But, you know, there's something I want everybody to stay on the lookout for, because as of right now, if that extension was based on health, and even if the performance was the one thing that could have gotten him one, it may not be looking good for Teven Jenkins, is what I'll say. And so we'll see how that develops over the rest of the season for Teven Jenkins. Let me know what you guys think down below. If you had to bet right now on if Teven Jenkins gets a contract extension with the Chicago Bears, done, whether it does happen, you know, this season before the end of the season, or if it does not happen until the offseason, do you think that Teven Jenkins will be in the Chicago Bears uniform at the start of next season? Let me know what you guys think on that down below. But with that said, I want to acknowledge offensive linemen that have been doing good. And at the end of this, I'm going to talk about Braxton Jones, which is surprisingly enough, because his pro football grades are actually really good, right? But Matt Pryor, Bill Murray, Doug Kramer have all stepped up in their own perspective ways. I've been talking a lot about Matt Pryor here over the last couple of weeks since he stepped in as that starting right guard. It's coincided with the Bears' offensive line playing much better in general. And I think with Matt Pryor, and Ryan Poles saying this, Matt Pryor has done a good job when his number is called, and I give him a lot of credit. He's been dependable for us. And that's really what we need. And that was the biggest thing Nate Davis just was not dependable. He was not dependable on performance. He was not dependable on being able to stay on the field. He just was not dependable overall. So adding somebody in like Matt Pryor, who his level of production has been consistent. He's been able to consistently stay on the football field as well. Everything that you've called on him to do, he's really stood up and done pretty well. Listen, Matt Pryor has done a great job here with the Chicago Bears. And with him being a free agent at the end of the year, even if it ends up being a depth piece and we improve the offensive line overall, I'm not going to be mad if Matt Pryor ends up staying with the Chicago Bears team on another 2-year or 1-year deal or something like that. But then Ryan Poles also talked about Bill Murray, saying this. We saw this past week Bill Murray, who I'm super proud of because he's a former defensive lineman, showed some flashes. He really put in a lot of hard work, kept improving, got his number called, and did a fantastic job for us. And I completely agree with that as well. With the health concerns of Teven Jenkins, Ryan Bates not being healthy for the most part of this season yet. He's slated to come back after the bye week. Let's hope that that's going to be good and he can get back as well. Bill Murray has stepped up big time for the Bears as well. And the depth pieces for this, and Doug Kramer, moving to a new role, being that at the fullback position, helping guard in that running game for Swift and Roschon Johnson. These guys have really stepped up considerably for the Chicago Bears over the last couple of weeks. And I love what they're showing us, right? And so what I've been saying for a while now, not even to toot my own horn, but just because it's facts, is that if the Bears' offensive line was going to progress, it was going to have to mainly come internally, right? Now, the internal development of Bill Murray, Doug Kramer, Matt Pryor, these guys, and getting Ryan Bates back healthy, those type of things, Darnell Wright getting back to playing well, hopefully Teven Jenkins as well, it can make Ryan Poles, if he does want to go out and acquire offensive linemen, be more selective on who he has to go out and acquire. But the internal growth there and improvement that we've had with being able to rely on guys who Ryan Poles said he was confident on the depth of the Chicago Bears. And that depth has come through in a different way, right? Be clear, in a different way, but it has come through in ways for the Chicago Bears this season. And you got to give it credit where credit's due. So these guys, Bill Murray, Matt Pryor, on that offensive line, the way that they've stood up for the Chicago Bears has been really good to see at a time where we just frankly need it. I mean, that's just what it boils down to. We need it. And so to see that from this Bears team has been great. It's been wonderful to see. And let's hope that it just keeps developing. And I think that overall, this offensive line is going in the right direction. And that's going to be highlighted by the next thing that we talk about, which leads us to talking about Braxton Jones. Listen, you guys know I'm a harsh critic of Braxton Jones. I don't think Braxton Jones has improved much from his rookie year. And I do think that he could be a solid depth piece, right? But listen, for the PFF grades, he's been pretty damn good, right? Through 5 games, Braxton Jones has a PFF grade of 70.8, right? And he's played 346 snaps. Through that, he's allowed 5 penalties. He has 0 sacks allowed on the season. 0 sacks allowed at all on the season. And then when you look at his performance last week, in week 5, he didn't allow a single sack, but he didn't allow in a single pressure either. And that's big things for Braxton Jones, right? Now, we've seen the game. He got cooked in games before, right? You can't deny that. He got absolutely cooked in games before. But Braxton Jones has been decent. And I think at times he's been above decent, right? Now, I still think you need to upgrade from Braxton Jones, in my personal opinion. I think Braxton Jones, if you're able to keep him on, he's able to be a depth piece for you on that offensive line, play multiple, both sides of the ball. Listen, that's going to be both sides of the line, I should say, not both sides of the ball. That's going to be big for Braxton Jones. And I do think that that left tackle position is something that the Bears should look to upgrade. But if they upgrade the other, let's say they upgrade their center, they upgrade their right guard permanently, right? They upgrade the other ones. And if it ends up with Braxton Jones starting again another season, coming into the starter for the Bears, I think it depends on what else is around him. And you got to look at that as well and how much he can improve with those improvements around him. But I got to give credit where credit's due. If I'm going to be loud in my criticism, I also want to be somebody who acknowledges when a player is playing well. And Braxton Jones is playing decent. Now, that still does not mean he does not have major flaws. That still does not mean there aren't going to be games where he gets cooked at and I'm going to be fussing and screaming and cursing out Braxton Jones. Those things are going to be there. But overall, Braxton has been and PFF grades aren't everything. Let me be clear here. What I've always said is use the PFF grade and your eye test. Pay attention. Do the all 22 when you can, right? Don't just look at the PFF grade and say, well, PFF says this, so he must be good, because it's not always as straightforward as that, right? I want to be clear in that. In no way am I saying because he has a decent PFF grade that all of a sudden eliminates everything that we've seen with our eyes. No, that eye test still absolutely matters. And Braxton Jones can be better in a lot of areas. But again, he's improving as well as this offensive line is improving. And I think you got to acknowledge that as well, that there is improvement being made on this offensive line. And so overall, if you're taking anything from this first couple of segments before we get into the mailbag, the offensive line is going in the right direction. Now, a move from Ryan Poles can help that solidify that more. Health from Ryan Bates can solidify that more. Improvement from Teven Jenkins and Darnell Wright and other guys can help solidify that more. But it's going in the right direction, and then let's see how we can build off of it, right? That's the thing that I'm looking for. But all right, with that said, it's Friday, so that means it's Mailbag Day here at Chicago Bears Central. Let's go ahead and get into these voicemails. This one's from Dewan.
Hey, it's Cognac Boy, it's Bobby, Steve-O, C-Dub. It's your boy from the low end. I was calling in because I just want to, put my opinion out there on Khil Herbert, if he should be traded or not. Me, I don't think he should be traded. Even though we're not using him, I don't know they beef against Khil Herbert, but he gave us production when he was here. You know what I mean? Like, numbers speak louder than anything else. They not giving him an opportunity to be a part of the run game this year. I've seen him on special teams and everything. He was returning good kicks. I say keep him. But at the same time, if they get rid of him, they get rid of him. Like we all know, there's running backs out there that could be brought in and get production. But me, honestly, I'd rather keep him. I like him more than Roschon Johnson. Real talk. I know Roschon gonna go out there, give himself concussions, and be a good blocker as a running back and all that. But he don't have no breakaway speed. He's a goal line back. He's a goal line back. At least I know it's a 50-50 chance with Khil Herbert. If he break one, he go break one. You know what I mean? Even if you don't break a big one, there's gonna be a touchdown. It's gonna be over 20 yards, maybe 30 yards. Like Roschon Johnson haven't showed me that yet. He showed me, yes, he could get us that 2, 3 yards, 4 yards, maybe pop off a 5, 6 yard run with the power that he got. But I don't remember. Y'all can go back and look, but I don't remember seeing him break off more than a 10-yard run. You know what I mean? But if he did, he did. But outside of that, Khil Herbert, yes, he's not the best pass blocker as a running back. But you don't have to have him out there to pass block. Give him the ball, take his ass out, let motherfucking, other running backs. Roschon Johnson come in on third down and pass block. DeAndre Swift not a good run blocker, but he out there. He out there. We paid him that money to be out there, which I think we shouldn't have done because we had Khil Herbert. Khil Herbert just a bit bigger than him, but can hit the holes up the gut better than him, and he can still hit the edge. Khil Herbert is a zone stretch running back. Inside, outside, he's a zone running back. So at the end of the day, I like him. If Khil Herbert got to go, I'm not going to be mad, but at the same time, I hate when we get running backs like that. Just because they got one flaw, we just give up on them. Like, don't forget, he was part of the running attack for the past few years since he got drafted. Like, he done put up some numbers. With a line, without a line, but at the same time, you got to be able to pass block. I understand that. If he can't, that shouldn't mean you have to trade him or anything.
Listen, listen. In no way, even when we bring up saying that Khil Herbert could be traded, is it a knock on who Khil Herbert is as a player? Honestly, I agree with you. The Bears going out and getting DeAndre Swift, did they necessarily have to do that? Now, Swift is a better dual threat option. He's better catching passes out the backfield. He is even a better blocker, still not a great blocker, but I do think that he is better in certain areas than Khil Herbert. But the question that you have to ask yourself is the margin of that, right? And that's the question, is that the margin that DeAndre Swift is better than Khil Herbert, is that margin worth the money that you had to pay? And Ryan Poles clearly felt that it was. And I think at the end of the day, while we can talk about Roschon and Khil and what they do different, Roschon isn't there to do what Khil can do. He is the things that you named as far as him being a bruising back, getting those short yardage situations. That's what he's for. Now, I do think you've undercut him a little bit. I do think Roschon has a burst of speed, not anything comparable to Khil Herbert. So that's not the case. But I think they're two very different backs out there for two very different things. I think the bigger comparison is Swift and Khil Herbert. And the Bears have apparently made their decision when they paid DeAndre Swift. And I think it just comes down to that they're not using him. He's phased out. And if they are to move him, then they are to move him, right? If they keep him, then they are to keep him. And, we can make the arguments in the conversation all day for what Khil is, what he can be for the Chicago Bears team. And like I said, you got a lot of merit in that. Everybody does, right? But the Bears have when people show you something, you got to believe them. The Bears have shown us, and maybe they feel like maybe Ian Willer, if he's healthy next year, could fill in and be that third back with Roshan and DeAndre Swift. I'm just saying maybe, right? So Khil Herbert is clearly not part of the Bears' future plans, and that's why we could talk about when he's on the field, yeah, but the Bears aren't putting him on the field, right? And I'm not saying that that's necessarily the right decision. I'm just saying if you're going to have an asset that you're not going to use, and if you can get something back that can help this team, do that because you're not using it, right? And again, for the people that say, but a depth, what if DeAndre gets hurt? What if this? You're absolutely valid in that as well. I don't think either viewpoint on it is wrong. It's just what way do the Bears go is the question there, right? And we'll see what they end up doing. We'll see. But listen, not to knock Khil Herbert as a player. He has his flaws as a player, absolutely. But I still like Khil Herbert, right? So, it is what it is when it comes down to that. All right, let's get into the next voicemail. This one is from Chris.
Hey, Hayes, Bobby, C-Dub. This is Chris Evans, from Chicago. I just want to say hi. Been a fan since last season. Calling in because I literally just watched the episode where Hayes was talking about the acquisition for Wyatt Taylor. And I did just comment under the video immediately that I think, in my opinion, that if Wyatt Taylor is as good as he is, 3-time Pro Bowler recently, but is on IR coming off a major injury, I think a good idea, hear me out, a conditional 5th round pick, right? Follow me. A conditional 5th round pick where we acquired him, like, let's say a week before the deadline, we do a physical, pin in a physical, we trade a 5th rounder to the Browns, get him on the team. Once he's 100%, throw him out there. Now, the conditions on that 5th round pick, he has to play 55% or more snaps. And I would say he has to, honestly, I know these teams can't go off PFF grades, but to give you an idea of how good he needs to be, he needs to at least be 70% or better as far as PFF grade for protecting Caleb Williams in the pocket. And as far as pass blocking, he has to be good. He has to play 55% of these snaps. He's got to be good. He can't be serviceable. Of course, he can't be bad. He has to be good. And also, too, he got to stay healthy. I think that would be the more important thing. You got to stay healthy. You got to play 55% or more snaps. I think they did the same thing with Justin Fields when we traded him. He had to play a certain amount of snaps for his trade pick to go up. So I think that's worth it. And if he plays 55% of the snaps, stays healthy throughout the 2024 season, I think I'm fine. I'm fine with that 5th turning to a 3rd. Let me know what you think as far as trade value. Are you okay with a conditional round pick for the Chicago Bears to trade for Wyatt Taylor? I'm thinking a 5th to a 3rd. Let me know what you guys think. Appreciate the time. Appreciate the content. Chi-Town up, bear down.
Wyatt Taylor for a conditional pick is a really good idea. Now, I don't think you can tie it to, if he only allows this amount of pressures, that's probably going to be allowed on percentage of snaps played, right? And maybe, that is what it is when it comes down to it. So, Wyatt Taylor, if you can get him for a 5th round conditional pick, right? Because keep in mind the rumor that I read said you can get him for maybe a day 3 pick. I think that that's worth the risk. Now, you got to ask yourself the salary part of it for next season, especially for the Chicago Bears. But, at that point, that's probably what you'd pay out on the free agent market if you got somebody comparable to Wyatt Taylor. So that's something you got to look at for as well. And then I think it just comes down to how aggressive Ryan Poles wants to be and how does he evaluate the talent of Wyatt Taylor and how does he evaluate the pick that he would eventually have to give up. But if you can get Wyatt Taylor for a conditional pick, that protects the Bears' asset, that puts it on performance of Wyatt Taylor, and with him coming off IR and a serious injury, you want to have that safety net in a way. So I think everything that you laid out here is a really great freaking idea. Now, would the Browns go for it is the question. Maybe, maybe not. I think that with where they are right now, being as bad as they are, maybe the cap relief is enough, which is why it was rumored that you can get it for a day 3 pick. Maybe, right? Not saying for sure, but maybe that's the case. And we'll see how it works out for the Chicago Bears. If they were to bring in Wyatt Taylor here, though, and he was going to be healthy after the bye week when he clears IR, I think that that's well worth a conditional 5th round pick. Honestly, I think it would be worth a 4th round pick if we're being 100% honest. But if you can make it conditional and a 5th round pick at the base, I'm not mad at that at all. And I don't think most Bears fans will be mad at it either. All right, let's get into this next voicemail. This one is from Thaddeus.
Hey, what's up, fellas? Bear down. This is Thaddeus from West Chatham, south side of Chicago, man. And pretty much, man, I'm calling, man. Let me put the TV down. It's weather chopper, man. First of all, I want to say, man, pray for those people in Florida, man. They get that Category 4 coming at them. I know if y'all got people down there, man, just pray for them, check on your people. All right, but, okay, I know we were talking about Teven Jenkins. Well, actually, no, Khil Herbert. You guys were talking last night about Khil Herbert and what a trade or just try to get something for him. Man, why don't we throw Teven Jenkins up in that trade, man? I mean, that's what I think a team would bite on that. That way we ain't got to use some of our draft capital. Man, just get a trade for another offensive lineman, a decent one, because Teven Jenkins, I mean, his neck, we already know he got neck and back issues. Now he got rib issues. Come on. Somebody will take him along and throw in that Khil Herbert, then you got something. You got something to roll with then. I'm sure you can get back a decent player, maybe a guard or a draft pick, some capital or something, man, because Teven Jenkins, man, he's not trustworthy. Although when he's healthy, he plays good, but come on, man, he's getting ready. He tried to get that contract extension, and Poles was like, no, in the beginning of the season. Like, no, we're going to wait it out. And that's the smart move. That move was very calculated by Poles. And although Poles didn't hit on some things, but man, that's a smart dude. Because Jenkins would have just been sitting back, just collecting a fat check. So, all right, all I'm saying is Khil Herbert, yes, although he has some value, a team will take him. A team will take him. But, man, you throw in that Teven Jenkins, man, now you got something. You got something. I don't know, man. What y'all think, man? I mean, bear down. But again, man, if you got people in Florida, man, pray for them, man, because something about to hit them, man. And my people from Chicago, they just moved down there a couple of years ago, and they not prepared. They not prepared for that, man. I told them. But anyway, I'm gonna get back, fellas, man. I just want to know what your thoughts on that. All right, peace. Bear down.
But here's the thing. Your thinking is 100% solid, Thaddeus. And I'm not, no holes in that at all. But the reason why the Bears are waiting to extend Teven Jenkins is also, I think, why other teams would wait to see if Teven Jenkins could get on the free agent market, right? So I don't think a lot of teams are going to be willing to trade for Teven Jenkins now, especially with the injury things going on with him currently. I think a lot of teams would say, hey, let's wait and see how the season finishes out with the Bears, because if he does suffer a major injury, that can be another bargaining chip for us that we can get him in free agency for a little bit less, right? So I think that that's the case. And I listen, not to say that Teven couldn't possibly be moved, but I just don't think in pairing him with Khil Herbert is probably the thing that you're going to do. Overall, I just don't think it. I understand like I said, I understand your thinking. I understand why you would say let's look to move on from Teven if you can move on from him. But I don't think another team's going to take that risk in the middle of the season. But listen, in the last voicemail, I just talked about the Bears trading for offensive lineman that's coming off IR. Now, he was a Pro Bowl offensive lineman for 3 years in a row, so this is a little bit different as far as the consistent level of production there. But, I guess you never know. And, I mean, if a team is willing to do it, maybe that is something the Bears look out for. But I just don't know if a team would take that risk right now, considering everything around Teven Jenkins. But I've been wrong before. I'm going to be wrong in the future. And maybe this is what I'm wrong on. So we'll see, Thad. Thank you for leaving that voicemail. All right, let's get into the last voicemail for today. This one is from Fred.
What up, hey? Your boy Fred, man. Man, I hated that our boy Preston ain't gonna be playing this week. But like you said, man, it's one game, man. He'll recover. He'll be back, ready for the next game after the bye week. And I hope Ryan Poles if he do make a trade, I hope it's a good, solid offensive lineman who got some dog in him, who don't cost a lot, that he's going to play his ass off, even if we do decide to reward him a contract extension, that he's still going to play his ass off. I like the fact that Mike Pryor is showing that line and the fans that he got dog in him and he's nasty with it. I like them type of offensive linemen, man. Hopefully the defense buckle down on tighten up the run defense, because we almost gave up 100 yards, but hopefully they get that squared away, because I do like how our defense is playing. Only thing, I'm just waiting on, waiting on to see if Montez Sweat, is he going to, have some sacks or whatever, though. Maybe, like you said, he probably letting the other guys eat. Dex, he doing his thing. Yeah, I ain't going to lie at first. I was up for him, but then I had a question mark. Now I see, so he's doing his thing. Hopefully Dex do at least get us 8 sacks. Maybe he'll get us more than that. And Sweat come right behind, along leading the team as well, at least with 13 and a half sacks, so. And maybe, Darrell Taylor, he'll probably get, if Dex got 8, maybe, Darrell probably give us a good, maybe 9.5, maybe 10. Now, if we get that, that'd be good. Now, I don't know about them getting Myles Garrett. I like Myles Garrett, don't get me wrong, but Myles Garrett got a big contract, and that can go against, the salary cap. So, I don't know. I would love to have Myles Garrett on the opposite side of Montez Sweat, and we kick Walker in with Dex. And with that, like you said, that D-line going to be bad. Like, if we end up getting Garrett, oh, my God. Like, that D-line will be something else, man. It'll be bad. So, I just hope that, the offense keeps improving week by week, that we can at least be a top maybe 11, maybe 12 offense, and then going into, the following year, that our offense will be in the top 5 right along with our defense, that we'll actually have a championship caliber team, man. A playoff team at that as well. So I just want to see our team continue to grow and continue to get better. Let me know what you think, man. Chicago up, better down or nothing.
Yes, Matt Pryor got that dog in him. And I think Bill Murray got that dog in him as well. These are two guys that I really like to see the way they've grown in progress for the Chicago Bears this season. I love it, man. Now, as far as Montez Sweat not getting sacks, I'm not too worried about it. Like we talked about there, like it's about the synergy, and like he's the one getting double teamed on that defensive line. So I'm not worried about the sack number if it's not what it was last season. If he doesn't get double-digit sacks, I'm not really worried about that because, again, what we're seeing out there with our eyes and the pressure that he's getting on, it is freeing up Javon Dexter. It is freeing up DeMarcus Walker. It is freeing up Darrell Taylor to do some special things, right? So I think that all plays a big role in it as well. Now, as far as the Myles Garrett, I'll tell you what right now. If the Bears trade for Myles Garrett, I'm not worried. The salary cap part, don't worry about that because at that point, if you got Myles Garrett, Darrell Taylor, Montez Sweat, DeMarcus Walker, Javon Dexter, Andrew Billings, with Daniel Hardy and Austin Booker in the wings there on that defensive line, we may have the deepest defensive line in the game of football if that trade were to go down. So, yes, absolutely. If the Bears were to trade for Myles Garrett, that is a move to try to make, not just contend for the playoffs, that's a move to try to win the NFC North, in my opinion. And I wouldn't be mad at that at all. Now, of course, what assets you have to give up? He's probably the one in that players that the Bears are monitoring you would have to give up the most to get. But then again, what the reward of that having Myles Garrett and Montez Sweat? Man, listen, sign me the entire fuck up. Sign me up for that. So, we'll see what happens with that one, Fred. It's kind of a pipe dream. I don't expect it to happen, but maybe that's just me guarding my expectations. But if it were to happen, listen, the breaking news episode that you would get from me when that trade goes down, man, listen, bro. Listen, I'd be excited. But all right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. That's the mailbag for today. That's the show for today. Make sure you guys are following the channel at Shy Bears Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that's thanks to you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.